Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to video lecture series for course number 402 Regional Geography. These videos are related to the book Geography, Realms, Regions and Concepts by de Blas, Muller and Jan Nijman. So in this video we will continue with the East Asian realm. To be precise, today we will discuss the regions within the East Asian realm. As shown on the map, this realm is divided into 7 regions: Mongolia, the Korean Peninsula, Japan, Taiwan, and the remaining 3 regions are parts of China, different parts of China. So this brown one is the China's coastal core area. This peach one is China's interior, and while these two, the brown and the blue ones, these are China's western periphery. So if we look carefully, we see that the number of regions in the East Asian realm are more than the number of countries in the realm. So here the countries are Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, North Korea, Mongolia and China. 6 nations, while the regions are 7, as you can see here. These are the regions. So 3 of the regions comprise us of separate nations, the Mongolia, Japan and Taiwan, while the Korean Peninsula contains 2 countries, the North Korea and the South Korea, while 3 regions make up 1 country, which is China. Hong Kong is sometimes considered as an independent country, while sometimes it is considered as a part of China. So we are considering 6 complete independent states, while the 7th one, its status is not properly defined. Let's have a look at the major cities of this realm according to population. So the largest city according to population is Tokyo, followed by Shanghai of China, Beijing, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Osaka, and then Chongqing, and then Wuhan, which captured the world attention due to COVID-19 recently. Cities from this realm, which a student of regional geography should know on fingertips, are Tokyo, Shanghai, Beijing, Osaka, Wuhan, Seoul, the capital city of South Korea, and Hong Kong, and Taipei. Since many regions in this realm comprise of separate countries, so we will carry on our discussion according to the countries. So let's discuss the People's Republic of China first. It is the most populated country of the world, as we have already discussed. So almost 2 billion people. So these are some of the political facts about China, that it has 4 central government controlled municipalities, and those municipalities are called as Xi. Then it has 22 provinces, 2 special SARs, special administrative regions, and 5 autonomous regions. For the regional geography students, they should know what a Xi is and what are SAR, because the 2 SAR, the special administrative regions of China, are quite famous, which are Hong Kong and Macau. Then there is another important factor, which is the Hainan province. The Hainan province of China is lying on an isolated island, which is completely separated from the mainland China. China has always faced population issue, especially in the last century, and this is the reason China launched one-child policy for many years. So with the population problem and increase in urban areas during the last 20 or 30 years, China had implemented a system which is called as the Hukou system. But basically Hukou system is not a new system, but this system was renewed and made more strict to cater the larger urban population. So according to Hukou system, the citizens of China they are given a special kind of permits, kind of NICs or residence card, and according to those permits, the people are allowed to use medical facilities or get education or buy a house or even rent a house in only those areas which are allotted to them. They cannot go to hospitals which are outside their allotted area. They cannot get admissions in educational institutes which are outside their allotted area. So with this hukou system, China has managed to control the movement of people from especially from rural areas to urban areas, and that hukou system also created a large number of floating population, that is the people moving to urban areas for a very short period of time and then returning to their origin. So now let's talk about China's coastal core. So the highlight of China's coastal core is special economic zones, the SEZ, which are meant for economic activities, particularly imports and exports. This map shows the location of 7 SEZ located on the China's coastal core. Next region within China is the China's interior, which is divided into 3 sub-regions because it's a very vast area extending from the border of Russia right to the border of Nepal and Southeast Asia. So first sub-region is the northeast, second one is the central China, and the third one is the south. In the northeast, the most famous place is called as Manchuria, and I think everybody must have heard the name of Manchurian chicken that has its name from this particular region. This region is also famous for the Mongol invasion and then conflicts with Japan. So this is the area which had been under tension from the Japanese invasion and the Mongols as well as Russian invasion. Now the second sub-region of the China's interior is central China, and this is the region which borders with Mongolia at the north. And the Chinese government is planning to construct 4-lane highways to connect the coastal core with the interior of China. As shown in this map, these purple lines are the proposed railway network, so that the connectivity between this coastal core to the interior improves. Next sub-region of the Chinese interior region is the south, and the highlight of the south is minority areas. It has a number of minority regions, especially towards the south of the south region. Next Chinese region is the China's western periphery, which lies towards the west, and the population density of this region is the lowest in China. The highlights of the western periphery are the Tibet region and the Xinjiang region. So Tibet, it's famous in the world by the name of Tibet, but the Han people, the original Chinese, they call Tibet as Xizang. So it holds a very important strategic location in China because it contains a lot of water resources within the Tibetan plateau. So China calls Tibet as the China's water tower. In fact, River Indus of Pakistan has its origin in the Tibetan plateau in Lake Mansarovar. Besides this, another highlight of Tibet is the feudal system which is prevailed over there, and the Buddhist monks over there. Second highlight of the China's western periphery is Xinjiang region, and within this, this is basically a desertic region with the Tarim Desert and the Taklamakan Desert. So in the deserted area, China has launched its space program, and it has significant energy reserves as well. Other than that, within the Xinjiang region, there is a famous city which is called as Kashgar, and we Pakistanis have heard the name of this city in Allama Iqbal's poetry when he talks about Tab Kha ke Kashgar. So that is the region, and it's a very important city because it borders with a lot of countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. So it holds a very important strategic location, and it has Central Asia's largest marketplace. Next region is Mongolia, which is a country as well as a region of region of East Asia. It is a landlocked country. It does not have any seaport, and it is a buffer state between Russia and China. Buffer state is a place which has influences of its neighboring countries. So Mongolia has Russian influence as well as Chinese influence, and the population of Mongolia is very less. It's not very populated, it's not very developed. The main reason for its less developed state is the absence of seaport, and it has to depend on its neighboring countries for its income. Next region is the Korean Peninsula. Peninsula is a piece of land which is surrounded by water on three sides, and it's connected to the main land on one side. So within the Korean Peninsula we have two countries, the North Korea and South Korea. If we look at this region, we will find that these two countries actually have one nation, the original Korean nations, but ideology and government have divided this region into two separate countries. North Korea is a communist dictatorship state where dictator rule is still prevailing, while South Korea is a democracy, and the world has seen that South Korea has made a lot of progress. So if we define the country North Korea, we will find that the people are not happy there. The people are poorest, the people are hungriest, and they are being oppressed very badly by the government. But this is the country which has advanced nuclear weapons as well as missile technologies, and it has one of the largest armies of the world. So South Korea, it is one of the four Asian dragons or tigers of Asia. And why this is called as the tiger of Asia or the dragon of Asia? Because of its development despite its small size. So before moving further about South Korea, there's a historical fact that why the South Korea and North Korea were separated. These two nations were separated because this Korean Peninsula was a Japanese colony before Second World War, but after Japan's defeat, the Korean Peninsula was divided by Russians and the Americans into two halves, and they made the division according to parallel, which was the 38th parallel, the line of 38° north. So along that parallel, they have divided that the northern part will be under the Russian control, while the southern part will be under American control. This is just like the Iron Curtain of European realm, where the eastern part was under USSR control, the Russian control, and the western part was under the American control. So it was similar to that. And this is the reason it is said that the Koreans didn't themselves want the division, but it was done by the outsiders. So South Korea, a very small nation, but it has progressed a lot. But before that, South Korea was a failed state. It had dictatorship, and the politicians of South Korea were very corrupt. But what the government did, the government took those politicians and the industrialists in loop, and they together started doing economic progress. So with the help of that, South Korea made a lot of progress. So today the world sees that South Korea is famous for many things. Some of the things are listed over here. It's one of the world's largest shipbuilder. It is manufacturer of iron and steel and different chemicals, plus mobile phones and food supplies. Plus the South Korean media is a free media, and South Korean, we see nowadays the Korean dramas, the Korean pop, K-pop, and the Korean dressing. So these are famous worldwide, and people are adapting the South Korean style everywhere. So the aspect of Korea which is loved by the whole world, especially Korean dramas and Korean pop and the Korean dressing, Korean hairstyle, it is together called as the K culture. Now Japan, another industrialist and a very well developed nation of East Asian realm, and again Japan, just like South Korea, made progress after Second World War. So actually Japan faced sanctions ban from the world powers that it cannot utilize its economy in making warheads and different types of ammunitions, but Japan has to invest in education and the industrial and economic sector. So Japan did not look back, and it made progress in terms of economy. So speaking of Japan's physical area, it is one of those countries which are heavily earthquake prone, because it lies in a region where four different tectonic plates are meeting, as discussed earlier in the chapter. So it has a lot of volcanoes. So, and it is said that 18% of the country is habitable, while the remaining 82% of the country is not habitable, full of volcanoes, mountains, and dry terrain. So because of its unfriendly physiography, the major cities of Japan developed near the coast. Even those coastal cities are under the threat of tsunamis, the earthquake inside the oceans. So if we see the coastal development, we see its capital, Tokyo. It is the largest city by population in the world. And Tokyo, along with three other cities, form a conurbation. Conurbation is combination of two or more cities when they expand so much that their borders merge. So that combination of cities with merged borders due to expansion is called as conurbation. So Japan has the Tokyo conurbation, which has the world's um, highest population in a metropolitan area, a city area. So this is the map which shows the conurbation of Tokyo with the neighboring cities of Kawasaki and Yokohama. So it's called as Tokyo Kawasaki Yokohama conurbation. And we have a famous bike model by the name of Kawasaki, and which is originated from that city. The last country in the East Asian realm is Taiwan, a microstate, and this is also an Asian tiger because of its small size and very efficient and rapid economic development. So it has declared itself an independent state, but Chinese people consider it as the part of China, and then they think that one day Taiwan will return to China. And Taiwan is separated from China by a very narrow water body, and that narrow water body is called as Taiwan Strait, which is hardly 200 kilometers away from China. So how it has become an Asian tiger or a dragon of Asia? By its industries, especially iron and steel industry. Then it has nuclear power plants, shipyards, chemical industry. It has modern transport networks, and computers, telecommunication equipments, and electronic instruments are some of the highlights of Taiwanese economy. Then Taiwan has Technopole. Technopole is an area which has exclusive technological and research related to technology. So other than that, it has Science City, and it is making progress in microsystems and information technology. So that was all about the East Asian realm. Inshallah, in the next video, we will talk about the Southeast Asian realm. Till then, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.